This is Johnny and Jose with Tiger Bomb MMA, and tonight we'll be going over UFC Fight Night, Lemos versus Andrade, giving you whole thoughts, predictions, possible parlays on the entire card. Before we do that, I wanted to give a quick breakdown of Luque Muhammad 2. Interesting card. I would give it an overall grade of like a D or a C. It was pretty brutal, and main event, of course, was a little funky, mainly because yeah, but let's break it down. First fight, at least from my cards, was Devin Clark versus William Knight. Heavyweight bout. Devin Clark looked pretty good. His chin looked very good. William Knight. The thing about William Knight is that he's all power. He's a thick boy. I made a joke about it. He would make a killing on OnlyFans. The guy is fucking thick. He's got more ass than Tyron Woodley. And Devin Clark, God, it was kind of sloppy. I know William Knight, being the explosive guy that he was, he tried things like a flying knee inside the clinch, which was really cool and really smart, but he kind of threw his IQ out the window. Devin Clark, on the other hand, third round knockout was impressive. I wanted him to win as an underdog. Luckily, he looked every bit of a favorite in there. He looked composed. He looked like the better wrestler, and he got the job done. So props to Devin Clark at heavyweight. Maybe that's probably not the best weight class for him, but I prefer him there because I think he's more durable at heavyweight. He's a very solid wrestler, very thick guy. William Knight, I think, unfortunately, they're giving him too much too soon because he's a very powerful guy. He can knock out almost anyone in the UFC roster, but he's kind of not all there skill wise. He's kind of getting up in age, and he doesn't have the best technique. Again, primarily power. Needs to work on that, get some more technique. We'll see you later. Next fight, Trey Ogden versus Jordan Levitt. I had a small bet on Levitt by submission. I would not have guessed he would win by decision. I mean, to be frank, I didn't think he actually won that decision. Judging, it is what it is. I said that Jordan Levitt looked like prime Shogun Hua out there throwing leg kicks. He kept throwing absolutely nothing but leg kicks in like the second and third round. And Trey Ogden, people were talking shit about him being a horrible fighter. I don't think he is. I just think he got Jordan Levited. He's a very sneaky weasel. He's got a good kind of style to make the judges think that he's winning, but he's not actually winning. Keep that in mind. I think Levitt is getting better. He's not a horrible fighter. I don't think either guy is, but it was an absolute horrible fight. But props to Levitt for getting the split decision win. Trey Ogden, depending on who they match him up with next, I might actually take a shot on him. I think he's pretty skilled. That guillotine that he had on Levitt was very, very tight. And if he gets that on anyone else, I think it's night over for them. Next bout, Aoriqileng, that's the next card. Alateng Haley versus Kevin Kroom. Kevin Kroom tried to be a weight bully, dropping down to 135. He paid for it. I actually had a couple parlays with this one going over, even though I said that Haley could get a knockout on Kevin Kroom based on the horrible, horrible weight cut that he had. And I shouldn't say that. I really don't know how bad the weight cut was. It just that he looked terrible on the scale. Haley got the job done. Just walked him down and knocked him out. So good for him. Kroom, I don't think he'll be in the UFC any longer. Sam Hughes versus, I'm going to call her Nutella Nunes because she gasses out from moving too damn much. What a horrible fight. Sam Hughes actually beat Nunes based off of two factors. Round number 3, there was a point deduction because Nunes kept eye gouging, trying to beat John Jones. And Sam Hughes lost the second round up until like the last 10 seconds of the round, where she had Nunes against the cage in like an awkward, like if I recall correctly, it was like a headlock, and just started throwing minor punches for about 10 to 15 seconds. I didn't think that would have won her the round after getting dominated primarily for like 4.5 minutes of a round. Like that should not get you the round. Just a couple non-effective punches up against the cage. It is what it is, but I'm not salty that Sam Hughes won. It was just more so the judging is kind of funky. This whole card was really weird, but good for Sam Hughes getting her first UFC win. Sucks that Nunes, being the much better fighter, kind of cost herself the win there, but it is what it is. Lena Landsberg versus Pannie Kanzad. Pannie wins by a decision. It was a lot closer than I thought it was going to be, but Pannie, clearly the better fighter. She got dropped by an elbow by Landsberg. That's the most effective strike in the fight, I believe. Other than that, pretty cut in your eye, Panic Yanzad. Chris Barnett, Martin Buday. Barnett, here's the thing with the judges and the scoring. There was an illegal strike thrown in the third round. Clearly should have been either a DQ or a no contest, but they went to the scorecards. Buday threw like an illegal borderline elbow to the back of the head. Barnett was clearly compromised, and it went to a unanimous decision for Buday via technical decision. I thought that was interesting. Like the strike could have been borderline, but if it becomes like a strike that a fighter can no longer continue by, it sets a precedence. God damn it. I went a little fucking stupid there. It sets a standard for what should happen next. And I believe the entire card was very inconsistent based on these rules. Buday obviously gets the decision. Barnett tried to fight. I don't know. It is what it is. It was a sloppy fight. It happened exactly like I thought it was going to be, just a lot of clinching against the cage. Barnett, being the smaller guy, couldn't do anything. Next bout, Garcia versus Ronson. Another illegal strike happened. And according to Twitter, Jesse Ronson saying that the knee to the ground opponent kind of messed him up, which led to him getting subbed in the second round. After that illegal knee, Ronson did not look good. I specifically said Ronson, after a 2-year layoff, won't forget how to fight, and that's exactly what happened. He completely forgot how to fight, was not comfortable in there. Say it could have been the roids, maybe, but he just looked pretty bad. He was the only person who I had a straight money line bet on. I thought he was going to do a lot better than he did. He should have taken the DQ or the no contest after that knee if he felt as if he was unable to continue. Maybe he's just making up bullshit, but he looked terrible. Garcia, I don't know, man. Like, he's so inconsistent to me. Like, one day he does this, and another day he looks completely lost against a guy like Grutzmacher. And we'll see what happens with both. I don't know if they'll keep Jesse Ronson. I think he's just too much of a problem. Like, he's not gotten a UFC win, period. And after, he came in on short notice against Dalby, he looked good. He pops for roids. Now he comes back and looks terrible. But moving on, Drakkar Klose destroys Brandon Jenkins. I mean, Jenkins is tough, but I mean, Drakkar Klose, looking pretty rusty, was still able to destroy him on the feet. Props to Jenkins. I don't think he should be in the UFC. Give him some more seasoning outside of the UFC. Give him back to PFL, maybe Bellator. But moving on, Pat Sabatini, TJ Laramie. Laramie looked very good despite, getting dominated by Pat Sabatini. He got hit in the body in the first round. TJ was winning the first round. He gets hit in the body, and Sabatini just stole all that momentum. And again, Laramie looked very good. His wrestling looked good. His defense looked good. But Sabatini is inevitable. He will get you down. And in this particular case, he got the decision win pretty damn dominantly. We'll see what happens with TJ Laramie. I think he's a very good, skilled fighter for his age. He just keeps getting guys that he should not be fighting. He should not have taken a fight against Pat Sabatini. He could have won it, of course, but, he just needs more time. Next bout, Andre Fiallo versus Miguel Baeza. Very, very good fight. Probably, in my opinion, the fight of the night. I actually thought it would go over 1.5 rounds, and it did not. Fiallo was pissed. Fiallo was looking good. He was throwing kicks. Baeza was looking good, sharply countering, and then Fiallo just said, fuck it. He walked him down and he knocked him out. It was essentially what I predicted would happen, but I was hoping it would happen a little later. I actually had a small parlay with the over here and the over on the heavyweight bout with Barnett and Buday. Just whatever. It is what it is. But Andre Fiallo, he looked fantastic. Like, his defense is good. His boxing is very good. I initially thought that Baeza's movement might pose an issue, but having that movement machine in Michel Pereira as your first fight, I didn't think it was going to be a comparison to fight Miguel Baeza. He's already had that initial movement attack before. So Fiallo looking good. Baeza, 3-fight losing streak. I don't know what to say, man. I hope they don't cut him because I think he's very, very good. But he might need his confidence to be boosted up. He shouldn't be taking these incredibly tough fights. I don't know, give him Ah, fuck. Who should they give him at welterweight? Mm, I don't know, but maybe a softball would be nice. Myro Bueno Silva versus Yanan Wu. I had Silva by submission. How in the hell did Yanan Wu not tap out to that nasty, nasty tight, very, very tight Kimura? I'll never know. Put like maybe a couple bucks on her. It wasn't that big, but yeah, Silva looked not great. She should have been more dominant, but she clearly won every round. In my opinion, a lot of controversy because people picked Yanan Wu thinking like, oh my gosh, she got robbed. She did not get fucking robbed. It was a clear cut, dry win for Myro Bueno Silva. Yanan Wu didn't do much. Silva landed the more impactful shots. She had uh, more fight ending moments. Yanan Wu, she's probably getting cut. Oh, wait, this didn't happen. Lazez fought Anglosa. Lazez looked great. He looked fantastic. He said some shit in the post fight interview. I don't really know. I don't really give a shit, but he looked fantastic. Oh, wow. Caio Borralho, Jose, as if you're listening. I know you didn't watch the fights, but Caio Borralho versus Gadzi Omar Gadziev. Borralho looked like a fucking star. Like he dominated everywhere. He looked like Machida on the feet. He looked like Damian Maia on the ground. He looked like fucking Paulo Costa in looks a little bit. He looked like an absolute stud, which was surprising. I thought he was good. I didn't know how good he was. Him essentially stealing all the Russianness from the Russian Dagestani. It was fantastic. I was like, damn, he beat the shit out of him. And another fight where it ended in an illegal strike, where it went into a judge's majority decision. Borralho completely dominated. It was the right call, but it was just kind of strange because I don't recall if they took a point away from him. Yeah, they did take a point away because of an illegal knee, and they deemed it to be a like an intentional strike, essentially to take away a point. But at the end, they didn't deem it to be as intentional for them to call it a DQ because Godzi could not continue. Godzi tried to pull an Aljamain Sterling. It didn't really look good for him. He just looked a little like, oh, I'm stunned. And can you continue? Like, I don't know. Can I continue? It was just, it is what it is. More so, what should be taken away is that Caio Borralho looked fantastic. And although he didn't look great in the Contender Series, beating dudes by a decision and then getting a knockout over nobody, he looked really good here. I'm excited to see more from him. And then Vicente Luque, Belal Muhammad. Belal Muhammad won. That's all I really have to say. Luque, I thought he would eventually get a knockout or just batter Belal Muhammad, and he was looking good. The lateral movement from Belal Muhammad was satisfactory, I should say. It's more so that Luque kind of fought like a meathead in there. Like he wanted to get the knockout. He did not fight smart. He kept falling for the tricks of Muhammad. And credit to Muhammad, he won using those tricks repeatedly. Like it's very clever to essentially get stalked, move around the cage, not engage, maybe engage a little, and then go for a takedown in the last minute of the round to get some control time to steal the round. Props to him, but it's not very appealing to watch. But he's a winner. He keeps winning, and I don't want to say I'm salty. It's just more so I'm a little disappointed in Luque. I thought he would fight a bit smarter, and yeah, it is what it is. Like Luque might be like a victim of his own success sometimes. Like he really wants the knockout, but he's not fighting to his potential. He should have maybe engaged a little bit more in the grappling if he wants to go for takedowns, but he really looked like he diminished in his takedown defense. It was very surprising, very disappointing. Props to Belal. Fights are only going to get harder for him, and I still have my doubts about him. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to say about Belal Muhammad. Like, I I told this to somebody that I don't like Belal for some reason, and I shouldn't have anything against him. And I don't know what I have against Belal Muhammad. So I might be a very biased picking against him all the time. I think he's a pretty good fighter. I don't think he's great. I think he's pretty good, and he's an active winner. But it's almost as if Belal Muhammad must have molested me as a kid, and I have repressed those memories. So every time I see him, I'm like, I don't like him, and I have no idea why I don't like him. Just weird. But moving on, let's get to the main card. You can skip this shit. I'm going to put some, what do you call them? links in the description, so you can skip if you don't want to listen to this breakdown. But we'll get started with the actual card: Lemos versus Andrade. First fight taking place at welterweight. We've got Dean Barry versus, I can't believe I'm saying this name, but Mike Jackson. Currently, the odds are inflated as fuck for Dean Barry. Minus 1,000 for him. Comeback on Mike Jackson is a plus 650. I don't have much to say about this particular fight because Dean Barry's 4-1, period. He's a kickboxer. He's an Irish kickboxer. He's pretty good. Mike Jackson sucks. This is a very gimme fight. Mike Jackson's like, 37 years old. Barry's going to knock him out in the first round. Jackson is the guy who beat CM Punk, but then fucking 4 years later, his fight was overturned for whatever reason. I don't know. I don't care. So he has 0 wins in the UFC and only, I guess, technically 1 loss to Mickey Gall. Barry is going to win. He's going to finish. So don't bother really thinking about picking Mike Jackson to win. Dean Barry's going to knock him out, whether it be in the first or second round. The couple highlights that I have from Barry is that although he lost a fight via rear naked choke, his takedown defense is ever improving. He's a very good striker. Let's see here. He's been in bad spots, and he's been able to overcome. He throws a lot of nice side kicks, 100% knockout rate, 100% period, and he's going to win. So there's that. Let's move on to the next fight. Actually, Jose, do you even care about talking about this fight?
I was as surprised as you were. I was like, Mike Jackson. I was like, that's
Mike fucking Jackson, man. Who cares about Mike Jackson?
He's the guy who beat off CM Punk, and I guess that's why they overturned it. Well, I do have no. I'm kidding. I have no opinion on this. I could care less who won.
Yeah. No,
well, I should say, stay away from this fight. Even though Dean Barry is supposed to win, he's the younger fighter. He should be more aggressive. And at 170, he should be. He shouldn't be. What's the word? Drained, I guess. You know what I mean? That is until Mike Jackson beats him off too. But yeah, no, he's 4 inches shorter. Yeah, I think he should be fine taking him down once per round, or just keeping up against. It shouldn't take too much to beat Mike Jackson. But still, let's stay away from it. This is going to be an ugly one.
Yeah, it's a full disclosure. This whole card, I think, is not. It's not very good. I don't see many spots here that I really like when it comes to like straight bets or parlays or picking anyone confidently. It's just kind of, it's UFC Fight Night Bellator Edition, in my opinion. It's not very good. It's not a very good card. Hopefully it over delivers because, you've heard that before. It's the ones you least suspect that end up blowing your mind. I don't expect this to do that, though.
Hopefully they don't keep the kind of the what do you call it, the thing going where judges are gonna fuck over a card almost entirely, just like they fucked over apparently what's that guy AJ McKee against Pitbull in Bellator. So hopefully they don't have too much of that going on. Allegedly, I didn't watch it.
Yeah, no, yeah. It was. Okay. I wasn't scoring that fight, but it was like, huh? Like I didn't expect that. It was like 4-1 for Pitbull allegedly, and I didn't really see it that way. But then again, I wasn't actively scoring it. I was kind of not paying attention to it. It was a weird week. Like I was doing a lot of tape watch while watching baseball and UFC/MMA. So it was like I wasn't fully there. I was more interested in doing tape watch and watching actual Bellator. But yeah, let's just move on. Next fight taking place at light heavyweight. We've got Marcin Prachnio versus Felipe Lins. Currently, the odds have it in favor of Marcin Prachnio, floating around like a minus 130. Comeback on Lins is a plus 110. And this one is interesting because Lins is dropping down to light heavyweight, which is a good sign. I mean, Lins not looking great at heavyweight because like he came in from PFL with $1 million in his bank account. He kind of looks soft. Thought he was going to run through some competition like Andre Arlovski and Tanner Boser, and he has not had the best time. So depending on how he looks, because it almost looked like he he didn't let himself go per se at heavyweight. It just didn't seem to take it too seriously. I haven't really seen a lot of his pictures on Instagram. He hasn't really been posting his body, so he might come in as a surprise. This one is interesting. We've got a guy who's 0-2 in Felipe Lins at heavyweight versus Marcin Prachnio, who's 2-0 currently. He's got wins over the pretty damn terrifying Khalil Roundtree and Ike Villanueva. The things about Marcin Prachnio that are good, he's very good kicking wise, very good karate style, good movement. He's been knocked out a ton of times prior to his 2-fight win streak. What else do I have here? Beautiful kicks, great leg kicks. Speaking of Felipe Lins, black belt in jiu-jitsu, he was not necessarily a big heavyweight, but now dropping down to light heavyweight, he should have more success with people more his natural size. He's 6'2". He's going to have a 4-inch reach advantage. He's got incredibly fast hands, despite being kind of a slower guy. So if he catches you, like if you're lulled to sleep by Felipe Lins, he's going to tee off on you with those fast hands. Let's see here. That's pretty much all I have about this fight. I think Felipe Lins is a good play here. I think he's going to get a knockout. He got knocked out by Tanner Boser, but more so because Tanner Boser was just a much faster guy, like much faster. You could see it. He got caught, surprised, got TKO'd, knocked out. I think Lins here, he gets back on track. He absolutely needs a win. That way he doesn't get cut, sent back to PFL, and I don't think he's going to do great in PFL again. He's 36 years old. I think Prachnio, he got hurt by Ike Villanueva in his fight. Ike is primarily a boxer, and we'll talk about him later in the card, but you should not be looking terrible against Ike Villanueva to a certain point. He eventually got the body shot, knocked him out, but I think Felipe Lins is going to catch Marcin Prachnio eventually, maybe round number 2, possibly even round number 1. I think for sure I'm going with Lins as an underdog play. I don't think he'll stay an underdog for a long time, so get him while you can. But I got Felipe Lins. I think he's going to be more dedicated this time. He's going to eventually get that TKO because Prachnio, he's a bit chinny. He's been able to use his movement in prior fights to get the win. I'm still surprised he beat Khalil Roundtree, but that was Khalil Roundtree before something snapped in his head because he was just very patient and he just wasn't engaging. And credit to Prachnio, he does have a good herky-jerky kind of style. I don't think that's going to really do him any good here because Felipe Lins is going to be throwing kicks, and he throws very good, solid low kicks, and I think it's going to slow down Prachnio, probably even hurt Prachnio, eventually hurt him to the head, TKO him in the second or the first round. So I got Lins to win by TKO. I wouldn't say particularly which round because it's still kind of iffy. We'll see how quick he looks at light heavyweight, but I'll go with Lins to get a TKO.
I really only have 2 things to say about this fight. Is one, stay away from it because it's not. I actually have Prachnio getting a split decision here, and the reason is my reasoning behind that is Lins last got knocked out to Tanner Boser, and we've all seen what garbage Tanner Boser is because Tanner Boser lost to, oddly enough, was it Arlovsky that beat his ass? Right, I was expecting Tanner Boser.
No, it was did he fight Arlovsky? I don't remember if he fought Arlovsky, honestly. He did fight Ilir Latifi.
Tanner Boser.
Did he fight Arlovsky?
Yeah, Tanner Boser lost to Arlovsky.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh, yeah. Arlovsky was a huge underdog. How did I forget this? I actually had Arlovsky to win. I won some money on him because everyone was counting out Arlovsky. He was coming in after finishing,
including me,
Lins. Yeah, he finished Lins and he finished Pessoa, and everyone's like, he's gonna finish Arlovsky. I'm like, I don't know about that. yeah. So, damn, how did I forget that? That's crazy.
Yeah, he
damn,
lost Arlovsky and to Latifi.
Damn, let me see Arlovsky's record. That's funny. Arlovsky beat Lins. He beat Boser, lost to Aspinall. Then he beat Sherman, Felipe. But damn, Arlovsky's on like a world tour of beating ass.
Yeah, man. He's anyway. The point I'm trying to make is that he lost to Arlovsky. Arlovsky's nowhere near where he was in his prime, but apparently he's still good enough to beat a lot of these fucking amateurs' asses. That being the case, it kind of knocks him down a few pegs in my view. Philippe Lins, that is, losing to Boser, losing to Arlovsky, then Boser, who also lost to Arlovsky. So it's kind of like, I don't know how good this guy really is, and uh, um, that being the case, I think he's probably going to lose here and go back to the PFL, which I should say would be a better move for him. I'd say go to the PFL, win another $1 million because he sure as hell's not going to win $1 million combined in his entire UFC tenure. I seriously doubt that. This guy didn't really come in as a. I don't think he came in as a like a highly touted prospect or anything. So he's not making like CM Punk money. You know what I mean? So it's not like he made CM Punk. I think I'm pretty sure made like over $1 million in his two, what a lot of people would call fights. But I don't think Philippe Lins has thus far made $1 million in his last two fights. So I'd say just eat shit, go back to the PFL and win yourself another $1 million, man.
Well, moving on. Next fight, we've got a bout taking place at flyweight. We've got Aoriqileng, the Mongolian murderer, versus Cameron Else. And currently the odds have it in favor of, wow, I didn't expect that. Aoriqileng, minus 230 comeback on Cameron Else is a plus 195. This particular fight, I had issues with really breaking down. I wasn't really too sure where to go with this one because Cameron Else, outside the UFC, he's got a pretty decent record, a lot of finishes. He's a BJJ black belt, but he's been beating a lot of bums, right? He came in on a short notice and he got his ass destroyed by Kyler Phillips. Kyler was supposed to fight, I forgot who, and then they put him in here on short notice. Did not look great. And that's not necessarily a horrible thing to hold against the guy. Like coming in on short notice, getting your ass beat by a guy like Kyler Phillips, don't discredit that particular win. How I'm going to discredit him is based off of his performances outside of the UFC, which again is still kind of like a not fair thing, completely different fighter from then to now. But just the overall record of the guys he's been beating, it's not very impressive. The thing about Aoriqileng, why I'm going to go with him, is because he seems to have a very well suited game for 125. I know he just lost to Cody Durden. I couldn't find that fight. I didn't even honestly try to find it. I didn't want to go through that route, if you know what I'm saying, to find that fight. But I remember it pretty well. He was doing very well on the feet, and then Durden kind of ground him down and edged out the win and sent him back to China where he came from. But he's still a solid fighter. He's got a lot of experience. He's very aggressive. He was very good. I mean, I'm still very impressed at how well he did against Jeff Molina, and Jeff Molina's coming to be a very very good flyweight. So given that, I think it's going to be a very close fight. I don't think the odds indicate that. I think Cameron Else is a tough guy regardless. His striking's not all that great. He's a bit sloppy. I don't think he's UFC ready, but I think he can make it a very, very close fight. I think the cleaner striker will be the Mongolian murderer, and for that reason, I'm going to go with him. I think it's going to be still very close. There's a chance that Cameron Else can use his slight reach advantage to cause some damage, but I don't really like the way he presents himself as a striker. He's just not very technical, and I think the more technical guy will be Aoriqileng. I'll go with him based off of that to win this by a decision. I think they're both going to be tough. I think it might even be a fantastic stand-up war, but I'll go with Aoriqileng to edge it out by decision. I don't like this one, though. I'm staying away from it. There's too many question marks around it because, both these guys need a win. I think Cameron Else definitely needs a win more so than Aoriqileng. If Lang loses, being that he's, the Chinese market, they'll probably keep him, throw him another softball. I think this is a softball for him and Cameron Else, but I think Cameron Else has a chance to potentially win this one. Just grit it out. I think he has a chance to win it. I just don't give him a whole big of a chance, but I'll still go with Aoriqileng by decision.
Fool me once, told me twice. I'm not going for a third time. Mongolian Murderer has let me down more than once. I'm not picking him ever again. He's more of a Mongolian. What do you call those guys in Japan who feel up women on the trains?
Molester?
I forgot, but yeah, he's the Mongolian molester. You know, if he had won last time, he'd be maybe the Mongolian strangler or something. But yeah, no, he's no murderer. Neither is. I'm actually looking at Cameron's nickname, Cam Cheetah. Is that a play off Machida?
I have no
Cam
idea.
Cheetah, or is that an English thing? Anyway, I think he's probably set for a very close, sloppy. This is not going to be a pretty fight. But I think I'm actually going with Else here to get maybe the split decision, if not the decision. And that's based off looks like he trains at the BMF Ranch and possibly Jackson Wink MMA. So he's got, probably a lot of talent there to work with. And this being at 125 pounds, he's going to be, I think, the bigger guy significantly, aside from the height and reach. And yeah, like you said, I don't think there's too much pressure on Lang at this point because he is Chinese, and they need all the Chinese quote unquote talent that they can get at this point. Being that there's really no male, no males even coming close to superstardom from China. It's like I'm pretty sure China is kind of, it's nothing really to hang your head low on, but it's like when a female's represent, doing more to represent your country in martial arts than any of the males, it's kind of like, dude. Well, anyway, I don't want China canceling us, contacting YouTube and canceling us. Not that they would, but
I normally would say, being that this is kind of a very small channel, that they wouldn't, but I wouldn't put it past China to be like, get them off.
yeah, I'll be like, okay, just be gentle. Yeah, I'll be like, I'm for it. But I'm going with Cameron here. I think you'll probably get the easy, no, not easy win, but semi easy win since Lang is apparently on cruise control. His last two fights. Don't have much more to add. But as far as betting wise, I'd say stay away from this fight. This card in general is not a great fight, a great card to bet on. I don't see a lot of clear winners, and with the judging being as it is, I see a lot of these fights going to decision. So be very, very wary of this card. I'd say take this week off. I don't know. Put whatever. Either do one of two things. Either maybe put this week's bankroll in crypto, or just roll it over to the next week. Go hard next week maybe. But yeah, stay away from this card in general.
Well, let's move on. At light heavyweight, we got the return of Tyson Pedro versus Ike Hurricane Villanueva. Pardon me. Currently, the odds have it in favor of Pedro, minus 450. Comeback on Villanueva as a plus 350. Ooh, boy. This one is pretty cut and dry for me, but there's still a risk of danger there from Tyson Pedro. I think Pedro's going to win this one. I think he's going to win it inside the distance, whether it be by submission or TKO. Ike Villanueva, I like Ike a lot. He's a fun fighter to watch. He comes close to winning fights sometimes, and it just doesn't work out for him. Like, for example, his fight with Jourdain Wright. He took an ass whooping, got cut, and I really thought, give him some time and he'll catch Jourdain Wright. But Jourdain Wright is a hurricane of legs and punches and elbows, and he got the TKO via cut. And then he beats, what's his face, that guy that no one cares about, Morera. He knocks him out. I made some plus money there. It was nice. And then who else did he fight? Marcin Prachnio, who looked good. Then he looks bad, and then he gets TKO'd by Nick Negamarianu. He's 38 years old. Realistically, as much as I like the guy, and he's got some decent hands, he's not the most skilled guy. Tyson Pedro in this fight is like completely outskilling the guy. It's the only concern is that with that 2 year, how many years has it been since he's fought? 3.5 year layoff. How he's going to look? I don't expect him to look terrible. Even if he does, I think he's still the overall more skilled guy to get a takedown, get back control, maybe go for a choke or just pound out Ike Villanueva. He has it in him despite anything. It's just I don't know. There's still a slight level of danger with Ike Villanueva. If Tyson can't get the takedown and Ike just unloads on him in the first round because he needs that paycheck because he's not making a whole ton of money. He still, I believe, has a job outside the UFC and he's got a bunch of kids. Like he's the type of guy that he'll go for broke. And that's what I respect about Ike Villanueva. So it does present a bit of danger, but overall, Tyson Pedro is going to win this one by a finish. I think inside the distance, whether it be by submission or by TKO, I really don't know. It's just really dependent on what he has to present it to him, I should say, whether it be via the mount, because he will take Ike Villanueva down, whether in the first or second round or even the third. I don't think it'll go extended into a third round. I think the under, depending if it's 1.5 or 2.5, 2.5 for sure, it's Tyson Pedro inside the distance, whether it be TKO or submission, I'm not certain, but inside the distance for Pedro is probably where I'm at. To get a specific play, I'll go with TKO round number 1. I think he's going to look to impress. He might have possible cardio issues. I don't know. So to be safe, I'm going to go with round number 1 TKO for Tyson Pedro. That's all I really got. There's nothing more really to say about it. Ike has a puncher's chance, but much, much more skilled guy, much younger guy is Tyson Pedro. So inside the distance for me.
Well, I guess my biggest surprise is, where the hell has Tyson Pedro been for the past 3+ years?
I think he's been injured.
And the other thing is, I thought Tyson Pedro was Mexican.
He's of Spanish descent, but his family moved to like Australia, so he's mixed with like Spanish and something else. I'm not certain.
I thought, oh, I guess his family, decided to, move from Mexico to Australia or some shit. Anyway, surprising there. But yeah, man, 3 years is a long way. Is a long time to stay away. And being that his last fight he got knocked out by way over the hill Shogun Rua.
At the time that was over the hill Shogun Rua. Now he's way over the hill.
Yeah, and then before that he got beat by Saint Preux and Ilir Latifi. Dude, he didn't have a great run at all. Sure, he beat Paul Craig 5 years ago, but that's not the Bear Jew that we know today. And so he was in his mid-20s back then. I see him coming in rusty as hell after 3 years of being away. As much training as he may have had, he's going to be rusty. Ike, sure, he's not being at 18-13. He's well over his double-digit losses. And his last 2 fights have been against Nick Bleep and Marcin Prachnio. Both fights he lost. He got knocked
TKO,
out. I mean, his last 2 fights, and then before then, dude, he lost Chase Sherman. Not a bad loss, but still.
No, Chase beat the shit out of him, man. That was like the hype beginner.
No, I mean in terms of Chase not being Jordan Wright.
Yeah.
That's dude, he's like all his losses have been KO, TKO. Or his last 4 losses, I should say. His only win has been against Vinicius
Morea.
At least that was a KO win. Okay, that's great, but he's 38, but still, I think he's given he got his ass beat, 5 months ago. So he's fairly fresh, I want to say, and he's, ready to go. Yeah, man, damn, 3 years is a long time to be away.
It's a tough one, isn't it? Because everything is telling you, Tyson should win this one based on age, but that X factor of what the fuck, how is he going to look? And, I just got my
Yeah,
ass destroyed by Rafa Garcia by betting a guy with a 2 year layoff and Jesse Ronson because I'm like, he should realistically be the better fighter. But then,
yeah.
we're
Because
Ike Villanueva's going to submit Tyson Pedro. Oh my
because
God, dude.
you shouldn't have that recency bias,
Yeah.
because if you do, he got his the recency bias is he got his ass beat by Shogun Hua last time around,
Yeah.
and this was way before we even started doing this shit. So
Yeah. It's
so
like
it's been a long ass time.
he's been away for a while, man. And the thing is, like, doing my research on the guy, he's like a black belt in jiu-jitsu, black belt in like I think karate. Let me find out. Like, I always forget where his black belts are. I think it might be like traditional jiu-jitsu as well. Tyson Pedro. Tyson Pedro. Let's see, yeah, black belt in Kempo karate, black belt in Japanese jiu-jitsu, black belt in Brazilian jiu-jitsu. So that is a lot of black belts. And you're thinking, wow, this guy should just come in here and
And
look
yeah,
great.
I was gonna say, black belts and all that stuff is all it's all relative. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because getting a black belt at like you know Jerome South Central Karate Dojo, some mall isn't really the same as getting a black belt from a legit karate uh, dojo with a long tradition or whatnot. So so that kind of stuff is relative. Just because
Yeah.
two guys have black belts doesn't it doesn't mean that you're on like Damian Miles level or anything like that. So this one's another one to stay away from. Yeah, it's if I have to make a pick, I'll go with Ike to take the decision. Because as I see it, Tyson Pedro is really just a younger version of Ike. Because I think if they get to the same amount of fights, Tyson Pedro will maybe have a few less losses, but I don't think he'll have more wins for sure. If he gets to around 30 fights, yeah, I don't think times three, 9. Yeah, I think he'll have almost the same amount of wins as Ike Villanueva if he gets to that age, if he survives in the UFC that long, which I don't think he will, because he's not. He was part of the Mark Hunt crew back in the day, right? Like he trained with Mark Hunt and the Shui guy, just won a few weeks ago. But anyway, yeah, another ugly fight. Stay away from it. Do not bet on these guys. Invest in crypto or just double up on next week.
Well, let's move on. We spent a lot of time on this fight. Next fight, Dwight Grant versus Sergey Khandozhko, taking place at welterweight. This one, damn, another guy coming back after a 2 year layoff. We've got Sergey Honda Khandozhko versus the body snatcher Dwight Grant. Recency bias says do not bet on guys that are named the body snatcher. This one's tough, man, because I'm doing my research on it and very small sample size for Khandozhko. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, but he lost against Husam Kabilov, showed awful, awful, awful takedown defense, and he beat Rodam Achman. I think that's the hairy dude that sucks in the UFC, but the guy's he's a very talented striker. He's what what did I write down? 6%.
That's
He's a
that's 2 years.
karate. Yeah,
2 years ago. That's a long ass time to be
it
out
is.
again.
Yeah, he's a karate background. He's got very thick calves, good kicks, 2 year layoff, takedown defense is shit. I do like how he fires back when he's in like a in the inside the pocket. He's pretty good at firing back. But again, this is 2 years ago. We don't have a whole ton of history on him. How good is his takedown defense now? Dwight Grant, he's 38 years old. Did I even say the odds? I'm sorry, guys. The odds currently will have it in favor of Khandozhko minus 115. Come back on Grant is minus 105. So near pick 'em. And I think that's fairly accurate because it's a very coin toss type of fight. Dwight Grant, the guy is a berserker. If he lands on you, he will finish you. He hits very, very hard, but he's 38 years old. He can be very sloppy in there. He has some decent enough movement, but God, the guy is just I don't know. His fight with Trinaldo was interesting. And I wrote down one particular thing that I had to go back and Google because I wasn't sure what I meant. But I wrote down Sal D'Amato is retarded. And I'm like, why did I write that down? And I went back and looked at the scorecards for his fight with Trinaldo. And Trinaldo clearly won, I thought, every round number 1, 2, and 3. And on two of the scorecards, we had that. Ron McCarthy had it 10, 10, 10, round number 1, 2, and 3 for Trinaldo. Same thing for, oddly enough, Adelaide Bird. Sal D'Amato had it round number 1, round number 2 for Grant. I don't know how that was. I went back and rewatched it. There was no way. And then round number 3, there was a point deduction where Trinaldo won that round, but it was a 9-9. It just, I don't know. I just wanted to bring that up. It bothered me. This one's up in the air for me. It's very tough. I think it doesn't go the distance because both of these guys being strikers, I don't think there's going to be a whole ton of grappling. If it does come, it'll come from Dwight Grant. Grant, not necessarily known as a wrestler, I think he can actually get takedowns on Sergey because his takedown defense 2 years ago was shit. But again, we don't know. Because I don't know how good his takedown defense is going to be, I don't know how good Dwight Grant's chin is going to be because he's been cracked before. And I don't think he reacts very well when he gets hit. He kind of wobbles a lot. You know, he strikes like he's hurt because he has a weird style. For a guy who has a ton of experience in kickboxing, he doesn't really look it, but when he connects, it's ridiculous. I will stay away from this one. I might potentially put a small bet on it doesn't go the distance, depending on how the odds are. What do I have here? I just wrote down Honda wins by being younger, and that's it. That's all I got. It's a very, very difficult fight to gauge. Again, it's a Bellator level fight because we just don't know. We don't know what's going to happen here. I know Dwight Grant's going to try to get a knockout, but how is he going to react when Sergey is like firing back? I think Sergey might have the more technical defense, but I would not put it past Dwight Grant to try to grapple fuck Sergey Khandozhko if need be. So I really don't know. It's a really tough one. I will go with Sergey based off of, being the younger guy, more durable guy. I don't think either guy is all that better than the other. But if I have to make a pick, I'll go with Khandozhko. I think he looked good on Instagram. I'll go just based on that. So I'll go with Khandozhko by I will say second round TKO.
Here's another one. Here's another guy coming off a multi-year layoff. I'll go with Grant just on the fact that he's more, two things. The fact that he's more active, or he's been more active, I should say, in the past 2 years. The other thing, looking at his record, looks like he's alternating wins and losses. So just based off of that, he should be set for a win. Not sure how pretty it will be. Again, this fight's not. I don't know. Maybe he'll go. Maybe he'll dye his hair blonde and just barrage the hell out of Sergey. That would be funny. Being that I think he's about Bronson, blonde Bronson's age.
Yeah.
So he could be the welterweight Bronson. That'd be funny if they start training together. But he trains at AKA. So, yeah, don't really have much to add to a lot of these fights, including this one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's all I'll go with. I'll keep it short.
Yeah, God bless anyone out there who has decent reads on this card because these are kind of tough. But the next bout taking place is it middleweight? Is it middleweight? God
No,
damn
it's
it.
catchweight.
It's catchweight,
Looks
190.
like it's a catchweight.
Yeah, Marc-Andre Barriault taking this fight on short notice against Jourdain, the Beverly Hills Ninja. Wright, I don't remember who Wright was going to fight. Let me find out. Isn't it crazy to think that Jourdain Wright has only lost twice, and both of those times have been by knockout? Roman Kopylov, that would have been a fun fight. I really think that would have been a really fun fight. This one, Jourdain Wright versus Andre Barriault, presents more complicated questions because, I'll get into it, but currently the odds have it in favor of, I don't even know if there are any odds currently. I would assume they'd be very close because of Andre Barriault taking this on short notice, recently getting knocked out. There might be a slight lean on Beverly Hills Ninja. I don't have odds, so it's tough to say. Uh, Honestly, I think the odds will really go based on. I kind of want to bet on this one. I get an inkling. I know what might happen, but it's a tough one. So the thing is, Beverly Hills Ninja, fantastic kickboxing. The guy hurt. What's his name? Bruno Silva on the feet. The guy can strike. His chin, he's got the overeem chin, man. Like that's the problem. He's a glass cannon. He gets hit and he wobbles. He falls down. You can finish him. Andre Barriault, he's known to be a much tougher guy. He recently got knocked out as well by Chidi and Kawani 2 months ago. So both of these guys have that compromised chin coming into this fight. It's just what's going to happen in that first round that scares me because if this becomes a crazy brawl, because Jordan Wright, although he's the much more skilled striker and the faster guy, he tends to kind of maraud in there. He'll go in there, make it an intense exchange in the first round with that fast, explosive karate. And if he doesn't get you out, he tends to kind of fade and lose in the later rounds. I think I wrote down that almost all of his fights, all of his wins have been in the first round, minus Buckley, which technically it could have been finished in the first round. He just happened to survive into the second round and then got finished shortly after. The guy does slow down because he's so explosive. My thing about him is that if he really maintains a solid pace, like he's a bit smarter, he could be a much better fighter. He can protect his chin better. Marc Andre Barriault, he is known for that. He's known for having the extensive cardio. He's a very solid, dependable, reliable guy. But we've just seen that a solid striker can put his lights out. So it's a very tough one. This might be a live betting situation. I think Wright might get the knockout in the first round based on just him being, again, he does that to guys. He just explodes on you and you're kind of, you know, caught with your pants down. I just said explodes and caught with your pants down at the same time. So it's tough. Live betting situation, in my opinion. If Marc Andre Barriault survives that ass whooping in the first round, smash that plus money on Andre Barriault. And I just don't know if he will survive that second round because between both of these guys, I think Andre Barriault, he's a solid enough striker, but I don't think he has that concussive type of power to knock out Jordan Wright. I mean, it doesn't take much to knock him out, but I think Jordan Wright might be able to eat a couple of his punches. No, this one's tough. I'm going to go with Jordan Wright mainly because he's alternating those wins and losses. So I don't know. It's a tough one for me. I'll go with Jordan Wright first round knockout, but keep an eye on that live betting line because if Andre Barriault survives that first round, he is that plus money is going to be good. He's going to eventually either grind out Jordan Wright and probably finish him later. So also inside the distance might be a good one as well. But for right now, I'll go with Jordan Wright. I'll have to look at the odds when they come out. If Andre Barriault is like a ridiculous underdog, I might just take him now. But Jordan Wright in the first round or inside the distance might be good as well. It's just a tough one for me. It's a really, really tough one, being that it's short notice, being that Andre Barriault just recently got knocked out pretty badly. I think Jordan Wright could capitalize on that. If he doesn't capitalize on that, I think Andre Barriault's going to take over and just beat the shit out of Jordan Wright. So for now, I'll go with Wright via first round knockout.
I'm actually going with Barriault here. And that's just because he's Jordan Wright. Meaning Jordan Wright is the wrong pick here. He did just get knocked out 3 months ago. I don't know if 3 months is enough time to. Well, I should. This is kind of an awkward fight because both guys got knocked out less than within the last 3 months. Wright got knocked out by Silva, and Barriault got knocked out by Njikwani. Yeah, 2 months ago. So, man, these guys are. What I would expect is a double knockout here, a la Rocky and Fedor and Mitrione. I don't know. I don't know who will be able to get back up quicker, which is funny because they're about even in every sense of the word. meaning their records are about the same, age is about the same, uh, physical attributes are about the same.
That reach
Um,
though from Jordan Wright, 77 compared to 73. I should have mentioned that.
eh, yeah, that can have some, that'll have some effect, I would say. But I'm actually going with Barriault here for no reason whatsoever. I have no read on this fight. I don't know. I don't know, man. It's like they're matching up like the what's it called? The UFC matchmakers is like, all right, I guess we have to match up. We have too many losers. We have to match them up. Let's just match them up against each other. And so that's what they're doing here on this card. I'm noticing they're just matching up all the losers against each other, and so it makes it difficult to, it's like when you have one guy who's clearly better and he's on a winning streak against the guy who's gotten his not ass knocked out one or more times in his last few fights. It's a lot easier to predict. When you have two guys who got their asses knocked out recently, they're about the same age, same physical attributes. One guy's clearly not better than the other. It's tough. It's a coin flip fight. I'm just going with Mark Barriault just to make it interesting, but um, yeah, this I don't know, man. This one's tough as well. I really have no rhyme or reason. It's just. Oh wait, did you say the odds or did I miss that?
No, the odds aren't out yet because it's very short notice. I couldn't find them. I
Oh,
don't
okay.
know. That's why I don't want the odds to dictate my pick, but I think it might in this particular situation because it's like, damn, I don't know what to go with because
Yeah,
it,
yeah. I mean, picking for the hell of, for the sake of picking is different than placing an actual bet. That's where, you definitely need to pay attention to the odds because if the odds are like right minus 300,
yeah,
uh, I'd say no, don't bet on this fight. But if it's close, if it's like minus 120, minus 110 or something, it's like okay. But even still, I'd say just do not bet on this fight. Do not bet on a lot of these fights,
I'm gonna do it,
including
damn
this
it.
one.
I'm betting on this
I,
one. Like do or die. I don't have a good read on it. My thought process is first round Jordan Wright, Marauder comes through, destroys Marc-Andre Barriault because he hits fucking hard, man. He's very good, but that chin. And then Marc-Andre Barriault, he's very tough. He can withstand, he can grind, he can eventually get that finish. So I think it doesn't go the distance. But dear God, that would suck so much because I don't think Jordan Wright's ever gone to a decision. I have a lot of stats in my head about different guys, and I don't remember Jordan Wright specifically. I don't think he's ever gone the distance before. Let me make sure. Yeah, he's never gone the distance before. I don't expect this fight to go the distance. I think it's do or die for both guys. Can Andre Barriault grind out a decision? Yes, but I don't know, man. That would suck. That might get me in some trouble if Marc-Andre Barriault just grinds out a decision against Jordan Wright. I don't I would not like that at all. But I do think that Jordan Wright, after getting gassed out from blowing his wad, eventually turns his head and they stop the fight with some clubbing blows, like maybe some side control, bam, 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 he gets finished. So I still am a firm believer inside the distance on this one, but coin flip. You got anything to add, or do you want to move to the next one?
yeah, we should move on. I don't want to
Yeah,
feed.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to add time or anything else to this fight. It's not really.
Next bout, welterweight bout, the return of Louis Cosce versus Preston Parsons. Currently, the odds on this one have it in favor of Cosce. Minus 170, comeback on Parsons is a plus 145. So this one is interesting because both the Cosce brothers or Cosce brothers, Cosce brothers have lost their UFC debuts. I think, honestly, Lewis lost his fight to a lesser guy in Sasha Platnikov. The other Kosei, what was his name? Orion. He lost against Phil Rowe, and that's like no shame in losing to a guy like Phil Rowe. Funny enough, both guys lost to long strikers, right? Long reachy strikers. Lewis, he's a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. He hits incredibly hard. He he was a victim of his own success because he fought in the Contender Series, knocked out a pretty decent guy, and I think it's Victor Reina, and he's pretty solid. That immediately puts him in like the radar of the UFC. Like this guy could be somebody. And when I first saw them fight, I'm like, I'm not too sold on them, right? But they keep consistently getting knockouts, and I thought he was going to knock out Sasha Palatnikov. He blew his wad trying to finish a guy, and he made a huge error there. You should never blow your wad trying to finish a guy, and I think he will learn from that mistake. I don't think he'll ever really do that again, but who knows, right? So sometimes you smell blood in the water and you start attacking. But the guy is a very fast starter. He hits incredibly hard. He Oh man, he's not very good at closing the distance, is what I've realized. He just kind of rushes in. He's there to get hit sometimes. And when you fight a certain way for so long, and I'm making an assumption here, I'm making the assumption that Lewis is going to adjust his game plan and try to be more reserved, but that's not really who he is. And sometimes when you do that, you kind of either start throwing panic shots. Like he might go for takedowns in this fight. He might start shooting. I'm sorry, he might start throwing random nasty hooks that aren't going to land. And I just predict him to be a little too in his own head in this fight because Preston Parsons, I think he's a much better, well-rounded fighter. He's 9-3. He's 5'11 compared to the 5'9 of Cosce. He's got a 72-inch reach, so a 1-inch reach advantage. I think he's fought the better competition. He came in on short notice and fought Daniel Rodriguez, and he looked pretty good. He's a very explosive striker. He's got a good wrestling background. I think having a full camp, he's going to look fantastic. This one is kind of close as well because I think Cosce could potentially get a first-round knockout if he goes in there like he usually does, balls to the walls. I don't predict that to be the case. He's got a brown belt in jiu-jitsu from what I saw. He might try to implement that. I think he's going to be the lesser wrestler in this fight. And funny enough, I think Preston Parsons might be the better striker. I just don't think he has the type of concussive knockout power that Cosce has. I like Preston Parsons as a dog. I think I'm going to go with him to actually get a finish, maybe third or second round finish. I think he's fought the better competition. Funny enough, he fought Mike Perry. He ended up losing to Mike Perry, but he did fight Mike Perry. Who else did he fight? He fought someone else of note, and he lost to him. Well, obviously Daniel Rodriguez, but I just think he's fought the overall better competition on his record. He's fought some good competition opposed to Cosce, who has kind of beaten some bums and one good guy by knockout. So I'll go with Preston Parsons to win this one. I like him as a dog. He just has to avoid getting knocked out in the first and maybe second round, early second round. I think he can take over using his wrestling, gassing out Cosce, and just controlling him on the ground, possibly getting a TKO finish late. So I'll go with Preston Parsons to win this one by a second or third round TKO.
Wait, I had to verify that. I was like, is it the Michael Perry that took that call?
Yes, the very same Michael Perry.
Huh, interesting.
Yeah, this was early in his career. And I remember, damn, I have a little basketball hoop and I keep shooting papers and I keep missing. But I remember when we first broke him down, Preston Parsons versus D-Rod, I remember thinking to myself, he's pretty fucking good. It's just not his time. And I think this could be his time.
Yeah, this one's also a tough. Again, it's the theme of this damn card. They keep matching up losers against one another. Let's see. Cosce's been out for a year and change. This guy's been out for 7 months. All right, so I'll go with recency bias. I'll also go with Parsons. He got his ass beat less. Actually, no. I'm taking Cosce because he got his ass beat over a year, almost a year and a half ago. I would say he's had more time to recover.
Mm-hmm.
Funny, and the stats are like almost like
virtually identical.
Yeah, where's that? Where's Goldie? We should have a Goldie button where it says virtually identical. Like those memes. Yeah, these guys are within 2 months of being born. They were both born in the United States. Jeez, man, these guys are virtually identical.
Got the same haircut.
Pretty much. It's like if you flip the pictures around, it's like, who the hell's who? You could very well flip the pictures around. Who the hell's gonna know? So I'll go with Kosce just based off of that. I think he's sure he lost to Palatnikov, but again, he's been out, I think, enough time to recover from that. I think he'll continue with his streak. Um, and I think Kosce has maybe a little bit higher ceiling because if you take a look at Parsons' record, he fought. Let's see, within 2 months there. Yeah, he's taken like several years off in the past. Well, at least a few years off in the past. Considering he's only 26, that's not looking too good. But then again, Khabib did take quite a long time for knee issues or some shit a while back. So Parsons could be the next Khabib for all we fucking know. But I'll go with Kosce here. I think the monster is going to bring the pressure for Parsons and get the win here somehow, possibly by, I'm going to say by submission. I think he's going to get an arm bar here.
That'd be interesting. I mean,
it's
not
an arm. You know what?
like
Never mind. Not an arm bar.
Triangle?
Yeah, front arm triangle. Is that what I want to say? Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
just arm triangle.
Arm triangle. Okay.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna get a second round arm triangle. Bam! Submission of the night.
It's very possible that I know he's mostly a striker, but I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. But let's move on. Let's make sure the audience knows to like, share, and subscribe. Simp the like button. I think I'm going to keep this for a while. I like this. I don't know if you've seen this, Jose. The bulging tiger.
Oh, simp the like button. Yeah, that one's good.
Yeah, I like this. Let's skip all that shit. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, follow Discord, Twitter, all that bullshit. I want to start talking into the real fights. We've got a pretty
actually
before
you move on, the logo actually fits perfectly on that tiger. The logo head and everything. It's like if it was made for the logo, the drawing.
It's almost as if it was edited on there properly.
Yeah.
Moving on though, at what is this fucking weight class? I wanted to say lightweight because of what's his name, Lando Vanatta, but it's featherweight, taking place as the main card opener. We've got Lando Groovy Vanatta versus Charles Air Jourdain. Currently, the odds have it in favor of Charles Jourdain minus 130. Come back on Lando Vanatta is a plus 110. Not doing any research on this fight. I'm like, yeah, Lando, he's going to get his ass beat by Charles Jourdain. Watching tape again just to get a refresher, I've kind of flipped my opinion. I could give you all the deets, but I think Lando Vanatta is going to win this one. He's got a lot better movement, equal strikers. My only concern with Lando is that, he dropped down from 155 to 145. I'm still not sold on his cardio. If this becomes a firefight, I think Charles Jourdain has a better chance of winning. But Charles Jourdain, he does have issues facing strikers, like he saw with what's his name, who I can't remember. Juicy J, Juliana Rosa. Juliana Rosa kind of pressured him. Charles Jourdain doesn't really like to get pressured against the cage. He can get controlled against the cage. He's fought against Andre Ewell. His last win, he looked fantastic. The thing about Charles Jourdain that always concerns me if I'm picking against him is the third round. If he gets pushed into the third round, he comes out like a fucking bat out of hell and he tries to finish. He moves forward. He just doesn't give a shit anymore. Lando, his movement, I think, is going to give Charles Jourdain a lot of trouble. He's equally as good on the feet. I would say Charles Jourdain might be I don't want to say the better striker, but I'd give him a slight advantage on the feet. Lando, he has been cracked a lot. He's only 30 years old, but he's gotten a lot of punishment dealt to him, mainly by Bobby Green in his last fight. I think he's going to have the better wrestling here as an underdog. I predict Lando to just do enough to get the decision win. I know I didn't necessarily think he had a very dominant performance against Mike Grundy. It was a very controversial split decision there. He clearly won 29-28 in my eyes, but it was like, I don't know. Or was it 29-28? Whatever. I just thought he won that fight, clearly. It's interesting. I think Vanatta, if he comes here with a proper game plan, he should win this one. Charles Jourdain, there's ways to exploit his striking. Like he moves forward, he plots a lot, but he can easily be countered. And I think Lando, he's going to present those same type of problems that he's had with Charles Jourdain, or not Charles Jourdain, that Charles Jourdain has had with very funky strikers. Like, for example, Julian Rosa keeps his hands kind of low, which kind of throws him off. Charles Jourdain moves forward and he gets countered, and he's like, "What the fuck? How did I get countered by a by a strike that I didn't see?" And I think that can be his downfall. Lando Vanatta keeps his hands low as well. He has good head movement. Charles Jourdain doesn't have the greatest head movement. Like, I like Charles. I think he can win this fight, but everything stat wise kind of leans towards Lando. If Lando doesn't get knocked out, he should win this one. I think he can grind out a decision. His takedowns are going to be good. His cardio should be better. I know he looked pretty good against Mike Grundy. His cardio held up, even stuffing takedowns. My concern with his cardio kind of initially came with Bobby Green. His cardio failed him there because Bobby was beating the shit out of him. That's a different story than stuffing takedowns and moving around. So I'll go with Lando Vanatta to win this one by a decision. I actually think he's going to definitely get a decision. I don't think this one gets finished. I think both these guys are super tough. So I'm going to actually go with the underdog and Vanatta plus the decision line. Hopefully make a good amount of money there. I just see that it's going to be a fun fight, a hugely fun fight. I really like this fight. It's going to be a great opener to the main card. Both guys are going to be slanging and banging, but Lando's going to duck under and get a takedown. And that's always been Charles's like downfall, is the takedowns and getting controlled against the cage. That's the best way to beat him. And I think Lando's going to do that. He's going to fight smart. He's going to try to get a title shot eventually, not right after this fight, but it puts him in like that contention talk. So I'll go with Lando Vanatta by a decision. It's going to be a hell of a fight, though.
Wait. Are you saying Hang on, sorry. I must have misheard you. Are you saying Lando Vanatta is going to get a title shot?
No. I said it'll put him in title talks, not title shot. Oh. Yeah, if you can beat a guy like Charles Jourdain. Yeah, if you can beat Charles Jourdain, it puts him in like that. Hey, everyone, look at Lando. He's our new toy at featherweight. Let's see how he does against X fighter, and then eventually he might get a title shot. I think that's where his mindset is. That if you think about it, like he doesn't necessarily want to be like, I just want to be a fighter in the featherweight division and get some money and maybe win some, maybe lose some. No, he's here to win fights and win the title. That's what I'm projecting from him, and I think he's got a good shot to get a good fight, good winning streak. But to do that, he has to fight smart, and he would have to wrestle. And he could come out here and feed his ego and try to strike with Charles Jourdain. I do not predict that to be the case. I think he's going to fight very smart. Like, the guy's 30 years old. The clock is ticking. He's had fantastic fights, right, in the UFC, but it's do or die now. Like, he can't go out there and just put on entertaining fights for the rest of his life. I would enjoy that. I would respect the shit out of him. But if he's trying to make a title run, he has to implement the wrestling, and I think he's going to do that here. And Charles Jourdain, I mean, he's Air Jourdain for a reason. He can catch Lando. He can catch him with the knee, but he seems to be a step behind at times, and that's what concerns me about picking him to win. Like, especially when he's fighting good strikers, and Lando's going to present a lot of issues on the feet, mainly movement-wise, lateral movement, head movement. And that wrestling is going to really mess with Charles Jourdain. That third round is going to be tough. I predict 29-28 for Lando. I think he wins the first two, and then Charles is going to come out like a fucking demon and try to finish. And there's always that risk that Lando could get finished, but he's a tough guy. He's smart. If he can withstand that ass whooping from Bobby Green, I think he can withstand an ass whooping from Charles Jourdain at the third. So my thought is, if he's trying to put himself in title contention in the lower weight class, he's going to have to perform, and he's going to have to win. If he beats Charles Jourdain, it gets him closer in those ranks, in those talks. Not to say he's going to get an immediate title shot or shoot up the ranks to be like number 10 or anything, but it puts him closer there. And if he gets the right fight and he wins the right fight, it'll put him right there in the rankings. So I think he can pull that off here.
I'm actually going with Charles Jourdain on this one, and actually it's counterintuitive to what I want to go with initially, which is Lando.
Mm-hmm.
But taking a look at Charles Jourdain's losses, these are guys who have 20 plus wins, right, and single digit losses, versus his wins have actually, at least in the UFC, have actually been with guys with also single digit losses, but under 20 wins, and that's Lando Vanatta. I mean, even though I guess intuitively I should be going with Lando Vanatta, I'm just trying to look at trends and whatnot, for a lot of these guys to see if I can spot anything that might give like a little bit better read as to, hey, this is all I really got for this fight.
Yeah, this
I mean,
one.
I think Lando is the more talented, consistent fighter, and just based off of like his win-loss record as of late, I think he is set for a loss here, and I think Lando's going to win. But something's telling me, I don't know, something's what do you call it? Just pointing to Lando's record and his what's his name's Charles Jourdain's penchant for beating these fighters with under 20 wins and single digit. I don't know. That's what I'm seeing, and that's what I'm going with. Even though and again, this is we're just doing this for fun. We're not putting, at least I'm not putting money. I don't know if you're going to actually bet on Vanatta and
I will bet on Vanatta by
whatnot.
decision. I think he gets the decision.
But just for the sake of picking, I'll go with Charles Jourdain, and I'll stick with that for now. So I'll say he takes that decision.
It's going to be fun though. Like, I don't know. I'd like to know what people think about this particular fight, because immediately thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, Charles Jourdain, like he can be the more aggressive fighter, but I think he's just a little step behind sometimes. So I'll go with Vanatta for that reason after watching some tape, because like Vanatta, he's alternating wins and losses, right? But like something in the back of my mind is telling me that if he wants to erase all those, I hate to say it, but failures at lightweight, he's going to have to consistently perform at featherweight. And to do that, he has to use all of his skill set. And he has in the past, but beating a guy like Charles Jourdain, a guy who essentially TKO'd Ilya Topuria via forfeit, that's like, you take all that momentum from him. And it's sometimes not even in the rankings that matters. It sometimes matters what the fans think. If you can finish Charles Jourdain, or if you can beat Charles Jourdain, a tough guy that people respect, especially Twitter, then your name gets kind of put up a little bit higher. And I think that's what might happen here with Lando. Well, let's move on. This fucking fight. Next fight taking place at flyweight. We've got Sumadarji versus Manel Kape. This fight pissed me off after really watching tape on it. You have your thoughts about this one. Like, I think X fighter is going to win because of this reason. And then you watch it and you're like, ooh, maybe not. But then you watch more tape on both of them and you're like, this fucking fight is a trap. I think this fight is an awful, awful, awful trap that I'm going to stay away from. And the odds currently have it for Manel Kape minus 150 comeback on Sumadarji is a plus 130. And the reason it's a trap, it's because here's how I have it broken down. Sumadarji, excellent striker. Chinese Connor, as Best Fight Picks puts it. He has a beautiful left hand. That fucking left hand is a laser, and I love it. He is the longer guy here and the taller guy. He's 5'8" with a 72-inch reach compared to the 5'5" of Kape and a 68-inch reach. 26 years old, 28 years old for Kape, 26 for Sumadarji. Oh, shit. Kape has been really coming into his own in the UFC. He's got 2 knockouts as of late, flying knee against Ode Osborne, and destroyed the shit out of Zalgos against Cage. Those recency biases that I have with Manel Kape is making me think he should win this one by knockout. But watching Sumajarji fight, I'm like, damn, he's very good at in and out movement. He's very good at movement in general. The problem that I have with Sumadarji is that he kind of leaves his chin exposed there, and he doesn't necessarily move his head. He just moves it back, instead of the traditional like head movement boxing, head movement bobbing and weaving. He does the Connor, essentially moves his head back. He doesn't really move his head a whole ton, which leaves him exposed to get countered by Manel Kape if he lets his hands go. Kape is going to be the better grappler here. We haven't really seen a lot of his grappling in the UFC or in general. He doesn't tend to use it. He tries to strike more. It's almost like he's trying to feed his ego by being the better striker. And to an extent, he is. When he lets those hands go, he's incredibly fast. He has a ton of power. It's just that sometimes he gets content by, again, his ego, thinking, I'm winning this fight. Let me not throw as many strikes. He was getting beat by Ode Osborne on the feet until he got the flying knee. I thought he was losing that round until he got the flying knee. Zalgos was presenting problems for Manel Kape as well. And until the knockout, he wasn't looking all that great. And then I'm thinking Sumajarji as an underdog might be a good play. But I'm rewatching his fights, and, he knocks out some, Malcolm Gordon pretty easily, which makes you think, holy shit, this guy's really good. Zaruk Adashev, I'm rewatching that fight, and Zaruk cracked Sumadarji with, I believe, an overhand right because he didn't move his head. He played that game too much, and if Kape can catch him, that could present a problem. If Kape knocks him down, he can get on top and finish him there or submit him. Sumadarji's takedown defense isn't terrible. I mean, it's getting better. It's improving. I think he's even training out of Dagestan, training his grappling. So I don't think it's going to be as easy as Manel Kape using his grappling and getting it to the ground, which I think he can do. It's just not going to be as easy. This one is so damn tough because I can see it going one of two ways. I can see Sumadarji completely being the faster, cleaner striker and not being there for Manel Kape to touch, because Kape kind of lays back a little bit too much. And then I can also see Kape either going out there, using his wrestling, using his grappling, controlling Sumadarji, and then edging out a decision that way. I can also see Sumadarji winning the fight up until he gets knocked out. I can also see Manel Kape, getting knocked out as well. There's too many possibilities in this fight. So I would say just sit back and relax and enjoy it, because I've got no real read on this one, because I'm still stuck between, is Sumadarji going to win until he loses, or is Manel Kape going to lose until he wins? It's the same shit, but it's like that variable of a few minutes left on the clock and Manel Kape needs a knockout. He won't get it. I don't think he will. It's going to be more so like, if you got money on Sumadarji to win, he's going to be performing beautifully. He's going to be he's going to be stuffing the takedowns of Manel Kape, just skirting around the outside, and then he goes in for a straight left, and he gets countered by the explosive Manel Kape, and then you're out money. It's just too much for me to really, I don't want that sweat. So it's a tough one. I will go with Sumadarji on this one, just because if I'm banking on him not getting knocked out, I think he can do that. I think he can move a lot. And Manel Kape kind of puts himself in the position where he's fighting from behind, very much so all the time. And if he cannot get the knockout on a guy like Sumadarji, I think he's going to lose the decision. I might potentially put a small amount of money on Sumadarji by decision, nothing significant, because it's still such a tough fight. It's essentially that, don't get knocked out, and I think you win. It's just, damn, I like Manel Kape, but he just needs to stop fucking around. He does that too damn much. Like, he's fighting from behind too much. I don't like it. And yeah, if you put money on him inside the distance, he might cash, but it's just, I cannot keep reliably doing that. So I'll go with Sumadarji as a pick. I'm not certain which way I'm going to go with betting wise, but I'll go with Sumadarji as a decision win.
Oh man, I thought you were going to go with Manel Kape.
I can't do it, man. Like,
knockout.
I can't fucking do it. Like, it's so infuriating to me, because like, in my mind, I'm like, if I go, like, I'm doing this shit like fucking You've seen the Benedict Cumberbatch version of Sherlock, right, where he's in this mind palace and like breaking shit down and seeing things, and I'm seeing it in my head, like, ooh, yeah, Sumadarji's gonna do this. Oh no, he's knocked out. Fuck. And I'm like, ooh, Manel Kape is getting takedowns. Oh wait, he got stuffed. Oh shit, now he's on the back foot as he always is, and now he's getting lit up by kicks, and he's staying on the outside. He's not doing anything. He goes for a flurry and he misses, and oh shit, he's losing this one by a decision. And then it just pisses me off because I can see so many scenarios happening. Probably none of the scenarios that I'm thinking of are going to happen. It might be a double knockout. Who the fuck knows? I'm not comfortable with it. I just cannot expect Manel Kape to perform. He has a bit of a, what's the word, confidence in himself after getting 2 knockouts, right? Will he come in overconfident or will he come in here smart? He doesn't peg me as a very smart guy. I think he's a very talented fighter, but he's not the most bright. He doesn't have the greatest fight IQ. He's got explosive movements that could win him the fight by finish, but as we've seen, Mateus Nicolau decisioned him, Pantoja decisioned him. He can get decisioned by very good elusive strikers. Sumadarji, what scares me is that he leaves his chin there, and Manel Kape could knock him out. I think there's more of a chance that Sumadarji could adjust, I'm sorry, adjust his style to not leave himself hanging there in danger than Manel Kape is to like not overvalue his little minimum strikes, because he doesn't throw a lot, but when he does throw, it's so fucking impressive. It's such a mind-boggling fight. But yeah, to be safe, I'm going to go with Chinese Connor to win this one by decision.
Yeah, man. I was hoping you were going with Kape, so I can go with Sue.
Yeah.
But I also see Sue getting the decision here. More so this fight, yeah. I see this fight going to decision, and that being the case, that has to go to Sue. If this fight does not go the distance, I would say, go with Kape. But I don't see this fight, not going. Wait. I don't see this going distance.
You see it going?
I do see it going. I don't know. Well, I was doing double negatives, but yeah, I do see. I was like trying to work it out so that I do 3 negatives and then them cancel out, and it ends up being negative. But I guess I'll just take the shorter path and say I do see this fight going the distance.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess Sue is. He has a better chance of becoming a superstar than Mongolian Murderer for China. Being that he's a Tibetan eagle, versus like what the hell is Khabib, the golden eagle?
Just the eagle.
The eagle. Okay, whatever. Never mind. This is again another fight you should probably stay away from, just because anything can happen, and judges could screw over Sue and give Manel Kape the decision for some reason or another. I don't know, man. I just don't have a real good, besides not having a great read on a lot of these fights, I just have that sensation in my stomach where I'm like, I don't know, man. I get the feeling a lot of these, not a lot, but I get at least some of these fighters are going to get screwed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just based on the trend of, judging of certain fights as of late, including, even though I don't like the guy, I do think Gilbert Burns won that fight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, it's, things like that kind of piss me off. I'm like, how the fuck are they going to give the fight to Ratlip? But I guess they want, they're desperate for, for somebody to carry on that welterweight, whatever. But anyway, moving on.
Yeah, let's move on to the next fight. So you've got, who do you have? Sumadarji?
I have Sue by decision, yeah.
Cool. Next fight taking place at women's MMA flyweight. We've got Macy, the future Barber, versus Montana De La Rosa. And currently the odds have it in favor of, let's take a look.
Probably Macy Barber, I would say.
Yeah, Macy Barber's at a -190. Comeback on Montana De La Rosa is a +155. I did write a ton of notes on this one, but to keep it short, and this is going to sound weird, but Montana De La Rosa has bird bones. And by that I mean is that when it comes to Macy Barber, she can push girls around. She's very strong. She's very powerful. She's what, 5'4", 5'5" compared to the 5'7" of Montana De La Rosa. And by bird bones, I mean that she is going to be easily controllable. Montana is primarily a grappler. Her striking is ever so been improving. She needs to take it to the ground. I don't think she's going to be able to take it to the ground against Maycee Barber. Barber is a very thick girl. She's got the lower center of gravity. Montana's tough. I like Montana. She's very cute. I mean, she's the best fighter in her household. She is consistently getting better in my eyes. Like she went to a decision with Montana or Mayra Bueno Silva. I believe it was a draw. She destroyed Lipsky, and she has this. I don't know what it is about her. Like she's mom tough. She's got that mom toughness. Like she'll go out there and like she can get her ass beat, get her nose broken, and she'll keep moving forward. And that nose is the biggest liability for her. And when I keep mentioning bird bones, is that I feel like she's not going to be as heavy or as strong to really do anything with Maycee Barber on the ground. Maycee Barber, her aura has kind of gone to shit. Like she was on a 2-fight losing streak. She technically, man, she's on a 3-fight losing streak. She did not beat Miranda Maverick. I went back and rewatched it. How in the hell did anyone give her 2 rounds, especially 2 fucking judges? That was terrible. That was absolutely terrible. But she got the confidence back with a win. Barber, although she's not the greatest striker, she's kind of goofy. She doesn't have the best movement. She has a lot of movement, but she's very sloppy. She has poor distance management. There was a joke in her last fight where I think the commentary team overheard the corner of Maycee Barber saying, "Don't just throw, try to hit her." And I'm like, "Ooh, that's fucking bad. Don't just throw a strike," because she's throwing strikes from like fucking 5 feet away. Like, yeah. I'm like, get closer, you fucking cunt. Oh shit. Pardon me for saying. Anyways, yeah, she's gonna have to have zero respect for Montana De La Rosa, and that's where she has her most success. I don't think there's gonna be much of a there's gonna be a takedown threat, but because Montana is not going to be as strong as Maycee Barber, she's going to stuff the takedown, and I think Maycee Barber is going to get a TKO, maybe in the first or second round. If she can destroy the nose of Montana, I think that's going to cause. Although Montana's tough, I think Montana's just not going to be able to withstand any more strikes from Maycee Barber. So I'll go with Maycee Barber, the rightful favorite. I think I wrote down here that there's a live betting situation on Montana De La Rosa. If Barber still seems like she's reserved and she's not the same type of girl she was prior to the loss to Roxanne Modafferi, where she just went in there and walked through girls, that's what she needs to do. She needs to come in here and walk through Montana De La Rosa, because she's not as strong as Maycee. And that's the biggest catalyst for me. When Macy's the stronger, clearly the stronger girl, she pushes forward and starts letting the hands go, and she's got the power to knock out a girl like Montana. So I'll go with Maycee Barber by a second round finish. But yeah, Montana, I like Montana. I'd like to see her win. Maycee, I mean, she's lots of liability here. I'd stay away from it, because if she doesn't revert back to her old confident self, I think she's going to have problems. But yeah, I'll go with her to win by a TKO second round.
Yeah, this is women's MMA.
Yep.
On a not, on, I guess maybe for a second straight week, not a great card. Maybe a little bit better than last week, or than the prior card. I guess last night's card, you might say.
Mm-hmm. I mean, last night's card had a chance to be good, but it got kind of
yeah.
This one's got a chance to be good, mainly because all the fights kind of suck to an extent.
Yeah. But again, this is women's MMA, and it very well may be that Montana De La Rosa is the next Roxanne Modafferi. Just maybe a little bit more makeup, and she goes to the salon. And that being the case, then Maycee Barber is FUKD. Yeah, so Maycee Barber has to get her shit together. She has to come in here and, like you said, revert back to her she has to get her confidence back, and she has to be the Maycee Barber that everybody's expecting her to be.
Mm-hmm. You dropped your phone?
No, the battery ran. I just heard the beep 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 beep.
Oh,
My
no.
AirPod
Well,
ran out of my AirPod ran out of juice. I just heard beep beep
uh,
beep beep. I was like, what the hell? Yeah, we've been going on a lot, pretty long on these fights when they don't really deserve it, especially this one.
yeah, this one particularly. Yeah, let's
And I
move
think
on. So you've got
I'll
Barber.
just, yeah, I'll just let's say Barber because I just went to the barber a few weeks ago.
Oh, that sounds legit to me.
That's
It's premonition.
yeah,
Barber knockout.
pretty much that's the sign.
Next bout, we've got at heavyweight Tanner Boser versus Alexander Romanov. This one poses some interesting possibilities here. So Romanov is undefeated, allegedly, 15 and 0. I have it as 14 and 1 in my eyes, versus Tanner Boser, who is 28 and 1. Currently, the odds have it in favor of, you guessed it, Alexander Romanov minus 500. Comeback on Tanner Boser is a plus 375. So with this one, immediately I think everyone's thinking the same thing. Romanov's going to win this one by, doing what he does. Tanner Boser is a tough guy. Although he's got a ton of losses, he's a tough son of a bitch. He can take punches. He's a lighter guy in there, which poses positives and negatives against Romanov. Positives being that he's going to be moving a lot. He's got great movement for heavyweight. He's very fast for heavyweight, throws a lot of kicks, throws a lot of fast hands. But being the lighter guy, Romanov is going to have an easier time flipping him on his head. So that's a give and take there. Romanov, on the other hand, let me talk about Romanov because I've got a lot to say about this guy. As I mentioned, he's 14 and 1 in my eyes. Juan Espino beat him. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. Juan Espino beat that guy. I don't know how in the hell, after rewatching that fight again with a clear mind, Romanov lost the first round and he lost the third round. It went to a technical decision because Romanov was extremely tired from getting out wrestled and just not being able to finish Juan Espino. That Juan Espino, I guess, lightly like pushed his knee up into the cup of Romanov. Such a baby, like ball tap. Like I know a slight tap. I mean, ladies out there, if you're listening, a little tap just does enough, and it'll put you out for a couple minutes to an hour. It's happened to me, man. I was playing football, like throwing a ball around with I mentor a kid locally, and he threw the ball, and it just hit me right square, like grazed my testy, and it put me out for a while. It fucking sucked. But in this case, with the cup, it should not have done the amount of damage that Romanov said it did. He went to the ground. He's like, "Oh, I can't stretch my leg out. Oh, I'm hurt." And then the translator's like, he's asking, "What happens if he can't continue? What happens if I can't continue?" I'm like, "That's some Diego Sanchez shit. I didn't like it." Even more so, what I found disrespectful is that it went to a split decision. Two judges gave the first round to Romanov, which was like, even like, granted, if the whole nut tap situation didn't happen, he still would have won on the judges' scorecards. Even like Juan Espino needed to finish. Bothered the shit out of me how that happened. Juan Espino had 2 takedowns to 1, more control time in the first round than Romanov did. So why they gave him the first round baffles me. Juan Espino won the third round, clearly judged based off of the technical decision. It just kind of bothers me. It just really does. But more so, what bothered me was that Romanov was kind of being like a little bitch, kind of, I don't know, bitch made. I didn't like it. Granted, my feelings towards him, he's got fantastic wrestling. He can flop and flip you around. The guy's very good there. He's a big boy, great big body, very heavy. He's got what, a 99% finish rate. Essentially, he's finished everyone minus Juan Espino. The guy kind of gasses out if he cannot get you out of there early. He's got a lot of first round finishes. He does have maybe one late round finish. My biggest concern with him is he does too much. As someone put it once, I forgot which capper put it, so I'm not going to take credit for it. The guy, what's his fucking name? The dude that fought at featherweight, retired. He would blow his wad a lot by doing explosive takedowns that weren't necessary. He fought out of fuck. He was a Bosnian fighter. He fought Chaz Skelly. If you know who it is, I can't remember his fucking name. Damn it. He grew up. He went to the University of Lincoln, Nebraska, whatever. That guy, if you know who he is, he got knocked out a lot. Anyways, he would go for takedowns that weren't necessary and he would blow his wad. And I think Alexander Romanov does the same. Like he can get a high angle, nasty flip and drop you on your head and knock you out. There's a high likelihood that would happen. But if it doesn't happen, you're wasting a lot of energy. And I don't think he has the consistent energy to keep going and doing that. Granted, Tanner Boser being the lighter guy, he's going to have a much easier time flipping this dude on his head. But Tanner Boser is very tough. He's very hard to finish. I mean, he got taken down a lot and pretty easily by Ilir Latifi, which makes you think, if Alexander Romanov does a lay and pray, he's going to win this one easily. He's not that kind of guy, though. He's going to try to go for a finish. And I think he can get the finish just by, he's not going to finish Tanner Boser, but the fight will get stopped because of the constant barrage of him being so heavy on top. If that doesn't happen, Tanner Boser, being the much better conditioned fighter, say this goes into a round number 3, he's going to put it on Alexander Romanov, and I think he can finish him. Because, again, Tanner Boser's very tough. Tanner Boser's got that Canadian hillbilly toughness, man. The mullet for days. He's not the greatest fighter, right? But he has skills and a certain skill set that can pose issues for guys that aren't ready for it. And this is Alexander Romanov's fight to lose. If he blows his wad not finishes, if he blows his wad and doesn't finish Tanner Boser, there's going to be a huge sweat in the 3rd round. I don't know how good his takedowns are going to be in the 3rd round. Oh, fuck. Romanov has to fight smarter, and I think he can do that. I think he should win. I'm picking Romanov to win. I would not touch him, though. Even if you're thinking maybe by finish, depending on the referee, sometimes refs give a lot of credit to a tough fighter like Tanner Boser. Like, we'll get into it in the next fight, but a certain ref in there is going to give a guy more time to survive than he would normal fighters. And Tanner Boser being tough, I know Tanner Boser is going to probably tell the ref in the back, I'm like, do not fucking stop the fight if I'm not out. And, you don't want the Canadian toughness mullet coming after you. What do I have listed here? Boser needs to move and not be there to get taken down. Use superior footwork, speed. I think he can get it done. I believe in Tanner Boser, but I won't put my money where my mouth is. This is a live betting situation. If he survives into a 3rd round, if it starts the 3rd round, I think Boser's going to be a significant underdog, and he's got a chance to beat Alexander Romanov. Granted, though, I think Romanov wins this one reluctantly by a TKO. I think he's not going to have the right judge the right referee in there. Romanov is just going to King Kong him. He's so fucking heavy when he gets mount, and I think he's going to eventually get a TKO via ground and pound. None of the strikes are actually going to hurt Tanner Boser, but it's going to be enough for the ref to stop it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to really think of it. I would like Tanner Boser to win. I still have a bit of like, this motherfucker playing those games. It still pisses me off. But even then, I think Romanov was having issues with fucking Jared Vandeiro. Vandeiro was landing on him. And it is what it is. I'll go with Alexander Romanov, 2nd round TKO. But Tanner Boser live round number 3, baby. I'll go with him if it ends up becoming a 3rd round fight.
Yeah, I'm also going with this bastard. The heavyweight Sterling, heavyweight Moldovan Sterling, that piece of crap. Yeah, man, I feel bad for Juan Espino. I mean, I don't believe he did, or I don't recall. Not that anybody would care, but I don't think Espino got his win bonus, even though he should have.
Mm-hmm.
I think Romanov is a piece of shit. But I think he is probably going to win. If it does go into the 3rd round, I think, Romanov probably has the first 2 rounds in the bag, just based off of the, takedowns and shit and control. But yeah, I wouldn't put it past Boser. I would say Boser's path to victory is going to be his takedown defense. Hopefully this fucking hillbilly worked on his takedown defense. Up in Canada, hopefully, with the moose up there or some shit, moose coming at him, and he somehow doesn't let the moose take him down. That's really, and that's his biggest thing, because Romanov, his stand-up game isn't great. Boser's stand-up game is a lot better. But in order to effectively, beat Romanov's ass, he has to withstand those takedowns. And from what I've seen, Romanov, like from the highlights that I saw before his bitch ass, pulled that shit against Espino, um, he just basically ragdoll everybody. But Boser's about his size and 20 pounds lighter.
Yep.
So I don't know how effective that's going to be against Boser. I would say he's going to take him down for sure, but I don't know if how well he's going to ragdoll him. So I'll reluctantly go with Romanov's bitch ass, but I'm hoping Boser gets like the TKO in the first round. Hope he stuffs a few takedowns and then TKOs his punk ass, and then Boser fights Espino, and then Espino beats his ass.
Yeah, I think Espino is the much better fighter between two,
Yeah, for
despite
sure.
him being like what 50 years old. It just like maybe there's some bias. Like frankly, there is some bias there for me. I picked Espino to win. I know you picked Romanov to win. You were right in that situation,
No,
but
I
it's
picked Espino to win
you
in
did.
that fight.
I'll go
Yeah.
back and check. I could have sworn you picked Romanov because I remember that, but it is what it is.
No, no, fuck Romanov, dude.
All right,
I
fuck
picked
it.
Espino
We
to
both
win.
picked Espino,
Yeah.
but it's like even then, like if Romanov would have won, it would have been fine. But just how he reacted, like maybe we're wrong. Maybe that knee did fucking hurt him, but I just remember it clear as day being a baby nut shot, not even impactful. And then I rewatched it yesterday, and I was like, that was like not even a knee. He just lifted his knee up slightly, and it like touched his cup. It's just more of like he was gassed out. He was aware that he wasn't going to win the fight, and that tactic sometimes is like I don't know, man. Like if you bet him, you want to win your money. Even then, if I had money on him, like I would have been like, I'll take my money, but I'm like, what a bitch, man. Like give Sterling all the shit you want. That knee that he took, it was a fight ending knee. And yes, he would have acted it up and whatever, but at least the strike matched the potential outcome and the rightful like ridicule, like, oh, he bitched out, ha ha ha. Here it's like, dude, you got baby nut shot and you gave up because you were tired. And that's what kind of bothers me is like he's got the quit in him, which makes me think that if push comes to shove and he cannot finish Boser, he's gonna go out there and quit, or is he gonna pull another fucking thing? I think what Romanov did was worse than what Sterling did. It's just that because it wasn't for a title shot, he's not getting as much shit. I mean, he's fun to watch, so that's the thing. Like, he can easily make you forget, like, oh, I fucking hate, oh my god, a suplex. But it is what it is, man. Let's just move on. But let's hope for Boser. We're rooting for that Canadian hillbilly. Next fight, and what appears to be the co-main event: Clay the Carpenter Guida versus Claudio Puelles, El Nino Puelles. The surprising thing is that I didn't know how good Claudio's English was. I was like, holy shit. Like I heard his Spanish, him being from where is he from? From Peru. And I'm like, yeah, he sounds like a Peruvian dude, but his English was like, holy shit, his English is pretty good. Good for him. Like it threw me off. He sounded like a natural, like American born fighter. It just flipped me up. I just wanted to bring that up. But currently the odds have it in favor of Clay Guida minus 130. Come back on Claudio is a plus 110. Frankly, with this fight, I have my biases against Claudio Puelles. I don't think he is all that great. I mean, he's got a lot of great attributes to him. He's very athletic. He's very young. He's 26. He's going to be the taller guy, 5'11, 72-inch reach. He just does things in the cage that makes me question how good of a fighter he is. Like he's good, right? He's got great BJJ. He's I believe a purple belt in luta libre. So it's like, basically wrestling, Spanish wrestling, Mexican wrestling or whatever. But there's some things in there that make me question how good he really is. Like his leg lock game is clearly very good. He got Grutzmacher in that leg lock in that knee bar, but it was more so Grutzmacher putting himself in danger opposed to, Claudio really springing that on him. He goes for really bad takedowns. Like watching his fight with Grutzmacher, he's like squatting, trying to get a takedown. It's like I don't know what it is about him. Like he's got so much potential. He's got beautiful left leg kicks, left high kicks, left body kicks. That's his best weapon, in my opinion. He's very good with that kick. But other than that, he's just kind of unimpressive. And I don't know whether it's because he's sandbagging or what it is. But when you do that against Clay Guida, I don't think it's going to be a good night for you. I think Claudio has a chance to finish Clay, but Clay is a tough son of a bitch, man. I rewatched that fight with him and Santos. And as I mentioned, when you have certain referees in there, they might give you more time. They gave Clay Guida all the time in the world because I'm rewatching that fight. He gets hit to the body. He's getting bum rushed by Santos, and he's basically got him out of there. And I'm watching him. I'm like, you know what, Clay Guida, maybe I'm misinterpreting the fight in my memory. Maybe it shouldn't have been stopped in my eye. Like, not that it was stopped, of course, but in my mind, I'm like, oh, stop the fight, stop the fight. He was covering up pretty well. And then Santos lands a knee that drops Clay to the ground. And I'm like, okay, you could stop it there. But Clay withstood the barrage of Santos. And then afterwards, he was bouncing on his feet like nothing happened. Like, you can hurt Clay Guida and you can potentially finish him with the right referee, but he's so damn tough and he's so tenacious. And then we saw what happened. He ends up getting the back and choking out Santos. Gutsy performance. Clay Guida's a bad motherfucker, put it simply. You know, he's not the same guy that he was before in the past. He's not as tough. He's still super tough. Think of that. Like, Clay Guida in his prime was unbelievably tough. He's not as tough as he was back then, but he's still plenty fucking tough. With this fight, because Claudio, if you take a shot on him, I don't blame you. He's plus money. He's younger. He just doesn't have that X factor that tells me he's going to be Clay Guida. Clay Guida's wrestling is very elite. He's got a power in the right hand. I don't think he's going to try to strike with him. I think he's going to completely dominate Claudio Puelles on the ground. He's going to have the proper defense for any sort of submission that Claudio is going to throw at him. There's a chance he can get caught in a sneaky submission. But, you know, the times he's been caught in sneaky submissions, it's been by the current champion, Charles Oliveira, and who else did it? It was redhead Ginger Miller. Jim Miller got him in a guillotine. Other than that, he's not really going to get surprised, right? He actually outgrappled Billy Q in Fury grappling or Fury whatever, and he completely dominated him on the ground. And I expect him to do the same here with Claudio Puelles. I consider Billy Q to be a much better conditioned grappler than Claudio. Claudio, he's got the ability for the leg locks. He's got the ability for a possible head kick knockout. I just don't think a veteran like Clay Guida is going to fall for that. Like, I had a joke saying that if I were to fight Claudio Puelles as I am now, he's going to beat my ass, but it'll be pretty close going into the third round because he doesn't. It'll be neck and neck, and then he finishes me in the third. You know what I mean? It's just he's not incredibly impressive. There are chances for him to beat strikers and out grapple lesser grapplers, like he beat Jordan Levitt and he surprised Gritzmacher with a takedown in the first round. But like, his takedowns aren't all that impressive. He's not going to take down Clay Guida, and if he does take down Clay Guida, that's like, holy shit. He's been really, really training his takedown entries. But Clay is wrestling day and night. Like, it's almost like he's having a love affair with wrestling the way he's talking about it. Like, he wants to get back to that base, and you cannot discredit Clay's grappling ability. And I'm going to go with Clay Guida to win this one by decision. I think Claudio, he has a chance to win this one by a finish, maybe early. But I think Clay Guida is just going to put it on him, relentlessly go for takedowns, have control. It's going to be a typical Clay Guida fight. He might get cut up. He might start bleeding, but he's not going to get discouraged, and he will continue to grind and get that decision
win. Yeah, I completely agree. Claudio isn't Mark Madsen. He's not Bobby Green, nor is he Jim Miller. And by that, I mean, he's not, his wrestling isn't Olympic caliber wrestling, that's going to supersede, Guida's sort of crazy MMA, kind of wrestling. He isn't Bobby Green, meaning he doesn't have that, sniper-esque stand-up style, and nor is he Jim Miller, where he, has that. I think Jim Miller is a pretty complete fighter. He has, at least he did have, great stand-up, and he's a wizard on the ground. So I don't think he's going to beat him by submission either. So that being the case, yeah, completely agree. I think Guida's going to just come out, be a little less Guida, and meaning he doesn't have that kind of yeah, he's 40 years old, so you got to give it to the guy, but he's missing a little bit of a step. So he's not going to be as fast, as crazy as he once was, but he's still going to go out there. The fans love him, and this is rightfully I think this should be the main event on this card. To be quite honest, I'd rather have Clay Guida out there, and instead of Amanda Lemos, like fans are going to be like, "Hell's Amanda Lemos?"
Yeah.
People know who Jessica Andrade is, especially her OnlyFans subscribers. But like,
Don't say nothing more. I've got a joke I want to say. So say.
Okay. All right. So I'll stick with it. I'll say Clay Guida here, by Clay Guida decision. So he's going to be at 38-21 after this one.
Dude, it's crazy, man. How many fights does he have? Clay Guida, he's got 58 fights. This will be his 59th fight. He's got shit. Oh my God, 21 losses, but the dude.
Clay Guida's in Alexei Olenek territory.
Oh shit. Oh my God, that's absolutely right, isn't it? Because we've got a very similar matchup. If you're fading a guy like, in a lower weight class like Clay Guida at 40 years old, I mean, Claudio's 26, and just right off the bat, you're like, ooh, younger guy beating a fucking guy who's been finished multiple times. Like, he's not as tough. He's losing his hair, and it breaks my heart to see Clay Guida losing his hair. Like, absolutely. He, like, what sucks as a guy with long hair, with the fear of balding myself, he actually puts his hair in a bun to hide his bald spots. I'm like, no. And then his rubber bands fell out against Santos, and you saw the bald spots in the front and in the back, and it broke my heart a little bit. I'm like, no, Clay Guida without hair is like, fuck, man. It's like, I don't know. It's like sex without ejaculation. It's just not there. But let's just move on, man. That was a bad segue. Main event of the evening, we've got Amanda Lemos versus Jessica Andrade. This one was difficult for me to break down because, like, the odds, I did take a look at the odds. They kind of spooked me a little bit. We've got Jessica Andrade as a -185 favorite. Come back on Lemos as a +150 underdog. And I went back and forth with this one multiple times because Lemos looked absolutely pedestrian against Angela Hill, where she nearly lost that one. It was a split decision loss. Should have been 29-28 clear on all judges' scorecards, in my opinion, because I know there's a lot of contention with the third round where Lemos was winning that fight in the third round. She won the first one clear as day, lost the second one. Third round was a lot of people were bitching about, oh, it's a robbery for Angela Hill. It was not. Angela Hill threw a spinning back elbow that landed on Lemos's shoulder. Lemos was out of balance. She falls to the ground. She gets back up. People think like, oh my God, she dropped her with a spinning elbow. Not the case at all. Lemos did enough, just barely enough to win that fight. She landed the more significant strikes in the third round. It was just more of a sweat, and I think that's why she's the underdog. Jessica Andrade, not really much to say about her. She's incredibly respectable. She's a former champion at straw weight. She has fought the best in the world, Valentina Shevchenko. She fought, I can't believe I'm going to say this, Caitlin Chookagian, beat Caitlin Chookagian, Amanda Nunes, Rose Namajunas, Weili Zhang. She's fought the who's who in multiple weight classes, and she's a very respectable girl. And on top of that, she's a very beautiful woman as well. Like, if you really look at her, she's got a pretty face. She's got a beautiful smile. She's got perfect eyebrows. She's got the perfect shade of brown on her labia. It's fantastic. She's a complete fighter. Her OnlyFans is why I bring that up. If you haven't seen it, I respect the shit out of Jessica Andrade's OnlyFans because I stumbled across them. I'm like, oh, what is this? Oh my. She takes pictures as only Jessica Andrade could try to look sexy, and it's like, respect the shit out of her. She's not doing any of these, like, you know what I mean? She's not doing the standard shit. It's just more so like This is what I got, boys and girls. I'm like, good for you. I respect that. I really do. Like, I just think it's like good for her. In this particular fight, OnlyFans out of the way, it's a tough fight because we've got Amanda Lemos. Despite her last fight, she's still a very, very good, competent fighter. And it's just more so Angela Hill does present a lot of problems for a lot of girls if you're not prepared for it. I think Lemos expected to get a first round knockout, and it was more so that she wasn't fully prepared to go the whole 3 rounds. And then she had to dig deep and then, come back and fight from behind, which was a good sign. Jessica Andrade, on the other hand, she's a bully in there. Like, she's going to be the shorter girl. She's 5'1", but she is powerful. She's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. She's got a lot of power, nasty hooks to the body. She's gotten TKOs to the body before against Chukagian. What did I write down here? Yeah, I think she's always had kind of trouble with girls with like a reach advantage, and she's going to have a significant reach disadvantage by about 3 inches against Amanda Lemos being a very solid striker. I mean, Lemos, I don't think she's fully been proven yet, but I think this is the fight where she has to prove herself against Jessica Andrade, a multiple time title challenger. It's kind of worrisome for me because Andrade being a favorite right now concerns me. I don't think she should be that big of a favorite. It should be aligned a little closer because although she's very skilled, she's very powerful, she's fought the better competition between the two. Her biggest downfall is fighting long rangey strikers. She's lost to them before. And Lemos, she's a sniper with that right hand, and she's got a beautiful jab. If she paces herself, I think she can keep Andrade away. She's going to have a very beautiful front body kick and front kick to the head. It's going to be a lot easier to land on a girl like Jessica Andrade. She was landing it pretty not necessarily at will, but she landed it clean and flush against not Jessica, what the fuck is her name? Angela Hill. So my biases here are that, yes, Amanda Lemos, I think she's going to win, but Jessica Andrade isn't fucking Livna Souza and I keep forgetting her name, Angela Hill. She's not fighting these girls anymore. She's fighting a championship level caliber fighter. And it's scary. It's scary to put money on a fighter who didn't look great her last fight against a fucking killer that is Jessica Andrade. But my gut is telling me that I think Lemos is actually going to finish Andrade. I think Andrade, she's not invincible. She's been hurt before. And I think Lemos possesses that kind of power that actually rivals and equals Jessica Andrade. I think Andrade has more power, period, because she's going to be the shorter, stockier girl. But Lemos being more of a sniper, I think she's going to pick her shots correctly. She's going to stuff any takedowns and avoid any possibility of getting guillotined, because Jessica Andrade, being a black belt in jiu-jitsu, her guillotine is pretty damn tight if she needs to get it. If she has it, she will get it. You're not going to get out. I think Lemos is going to fight smart. I think she's going to pick apart Jessica Andrade. Being that she has a lot of success against shorter gals, I think she's going to have success here with Jessica Andrade. It's worth a shot for me to take her as an underdog. I respect the shit out of Andrade. OnlyFans out of the way, of course, like, that's all fun and games, but the girl can fucking fight. She can fight her heart out. She's incredibly fun to watch. She is one of the very few women's MMA fighters that you will like get up to see. And I say that after mentioning her OnlyFans getting up to see. But for real, if this was a fight taking place like early morning, like 4 a.m., I would get up to see it because I really like watching Jessica Andrade fight. Should it be the main event? Not necessarily, but given the respect I have for Jessica, I think it's a rightful main event. But I do predict Amanda Lemos to knock her out. I think it's going to be in the first or in the second round. First round, I think Lemos is going to be not necessarily on her bike. She doesn't necessarily move a whole ton, but I think she's going to keep Jessica Andrade at bay, maybe even hurt her, but not finish her. And then a severely compromised Jessica Andrade will try to bum rush in the second round, similar to how she did against Rosa Namajunas in their first fight. And she's going to fall into like a jab that's going to put her on her ass. And I think Lemos is just going to finish her up against the cage. I mean, that's how I predict it to go. I don't necessarily fully believe it. I'm just taking more so a leap of chance with Amanda Lemos as a dog. I mean, if Jessica comes out here and slams Amanda and beats the shit out of her, props to her. But I will take a small shot on the underdog here. I think she has a chance to knock out Jessica Andrade. So I'll go with Lemos by a second round TKO.
Uh, no, I'm sticking with Andrade here. I think she's just gonna, continue being that little tank, um, or rather 5'1" tank that she's always been. Yeah, and Lemos, she isn't as lengthy as Chukagian, or even kind of goofy as Calvillo, because I think I somewhat gave Calvillo a chance in that fight, but Calvillo apparently decided to move away from AKA and go train somewhere in Vegas. I think
Hmm.
I remember from that fight. So she fucked up. She went, she left a good camp and just she's completely fucked herself. Um, yeah, and I don't think Amanda Lemos is Valentina, nor is she, as talented as Rose or Wei Li. So I think we're gonna, I'd say expect to see a few slams, at least one slam from Jessica, and just circling back to her OnlyFans. I think this is a good thing for her, just because she. I think you mentioned, or I read it or heard it on some video somewhere that OnlyFans paid for her like mortgage and her
Hmm.
car and some
Yep.
shit. So that I would imagine took a lot of weight off her shoulders, right? Having her house paid for, having just living a little bit better life than apparently the UFC is able to provide. Because as many fights as she's had in the UFC, if she couldn't even afford to buy a fucking house in Brazil, I mean, what the fuck? What the fuck are they paying her? You know what I mean? It's like Jesus, fucking cheap ass UFC
Or it
fuckers.
just could be that, there's a lot of subscribers wanting to see Jessica Andrade, so she's getting paid more based off of our degeneracy.
Yeah, there's that, but I'm saying, like, as many fights as she's had in the UFC, she should be getting paid, I think accordingly, because she's one of the more exciting fighters, male or female.
Hmm.
And that alone should have afforded her a pretty comfortable life in Brazil at this point. But the fact that OnlyFans afforded her this luxury instead is like, coming back to fighter pay. What the fuck? She's getting paid like minimum wage or some shit. Anyway, so that being the case, not to go back, but I really actually do appreciate her picks and her, like you mentioned, her non-standard OnlyFans picks. Like all these basic bitches are posing in certain, basic, I guess what you would call basic poses now.
Yeah.
But Jessica Andrade, she did her own thing, and she's like, this is me, and it's like I applaud her for that. So, um, but anyway, that I would say took a lot off her shoulders, and I think she's going to fight accordingly. She doesn't have as much pressure to pay off her house and pay off all this shit, where she can concentrate on fighting and hopefully go back to maybe getting another title shot. And funny enough, getting a title shot against Rose, beating her, and then losing to Wade Lee or some shit. I
That'd
don't
be
know.
something. Yeah, man.
I don't know.
It'll be a fun main event. I
Yeah,
think just
I think.
mostly because of Andrade,
Yeah,
like the way she can close distance is miraculous. She just bum rushes forward, and you're like, oh shit,
yeah,
here she comes.
yeah. I would say if and when Jessica beats Amanda, I would say a good fight would be Jessica versus. I don't think she's ever fought her. Oh no, she did against Joanna. Yeah, she did
Oh
fight
wait,
Joanna,
damn, that
but that
was
was
some
a long
time
time
ago.
ago.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like these fights that I completely forget. Tanner Boser fighting Andre Arlovsky and Jessica Andrade
Yeah.
fighting Joanna. Joanna, I think she's fighting Wiley again, so that'll be fun to watch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I would have said that would have been a better matchup, but who do I know?
Well, let's move on to possible parlays. I only have one that I might go with. Actually, all dogs. I like this four-leg parlay with all dogs as of right now because I think some of these might change. But I've got Felipe Lins, Sumadarji, Lemos, and Vanatta. So that gives me plus 2,208. So $10 will get me $220. I like that. I might play around with it. I do think that there's a lot of dogs on this card that could really, really overperform and get the win. Sumadarji for one, I think he's pretty alive. I think Manel Cape, again, that one's trouble. Vanatta, I really think it's going to go to a decision, and I think he can do enough. And Lemos, I'm rooting for Andrade, but I think Lemos wins this one. Shit, even Jourdain Wright. Well, I guess Jourdain Wright's not technically here. They're still giving me the line from Romanov and Wright. Uh, that's so far. Oh, Preston Parsons. I might add him on there. If I can get the line for Dean Barry by finish, I might add him onto a parlay as well. But when it comes to like straight bets, I'm not seeing anything remotely valuable other than like a couple underdogs like Preston Parsons I like. Sumadarji I might actually take by decision. Lando Vanatta by decision as well. It's a really up and down card for me. Like I'm not confident fully on any particular read that I have. Other than maybe the only more confident read that I have is that the fight between Wright and what's his name, Barriault, won't go the distance. I get a good feeling about that. But other than that, it's kind of a rough one. I'd like to know what you guys think about this card in the comments. Like, let me know if you have any particular read that you're overly confident in or just slightly confident in. These fights have been, yeah, they're iffy for me. Like, even the huge underdogs like Romanov, I see ways of him losing. Like, for example, Romanov versus what's his name, Bandera. I didn't see any way Bandera was going to win that fight unless Romanov chose to lose. In this particular fight, minus 500-ish for Romanov against a guy like Tanner Boser, who's not going to quit. And if it gets extended to the later rounds, there's a chance that you're going to be sweating bullets. But yeah, leave a comment in the section below if you have any particular reads on this one. Do you have any thoughts on parlays or anything straight, Jose?
Yeah, this is not a great card to bet, but the only ones I would suggest maybe doing a parlay on some, mixing and matching would be on Andrade, Guida, Romanov, Barber, Madergi. That's about it, man. I mean, the a lot of the undercard I'm not is very iffy.
So with those that you mentioned, I got Andrade, Barber, Romanov, Madarji, and Guida. It's a plus 1,016. So like 10 bucks gets you a total payout of like $111.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so bet I'd say bet an even 1,000 and then
just to be safe, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah, it's
and just laugh at everybody who doubted you when you win.
You know what? I think I'm going to do that first parlay, the underdog parlay, and post a picture of it like on social media just to prove it. I'm not going to go big on it. I might do like $20. I just get a feeling this card could be for the dogs. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've got. Do you have anything to add, Jose?
Nope, that's it for me.
No, that's been Johnny, Jose, Tiger Bomb MMA. Make sure you like, subscribe, leave a comment as always. Talk shit on me for picking Luque instead of Bilal. I know, what was it? Who was it last week? Left some comments. That was pretty funny. I appreciated that. I'm not moving out of my mom's basement, bro. I put all my money on Luque and he let me down. But damn, I'm still butthurt about that. I'm like, fucking Bilal Muhammad. He can't keep getting away with this, guys. He can't keep getting away with edging out, barely winning fights, man. Like he dominantly won, but slightly edging out around by a takedown is like heart crushing to me. But it is what it is. Again, like, share, subscribe. Johnny Jose, Tiger Bomb MMA. Fuck Oberg.